In this video, we're going to go through how to create and self-publish an AI colouring book. Eight months ago, I published a video on how to create colouring books using AI. Now that video has got around 100,000 views, which is incredible. However, in that time, the AI tools have changed and Amazon has updated its guidelines for publishing AI content. So, I'm making an updated video where I'll take you through the entire process to creating an AI colouring book, from creating the pages and the cover to uploading it on Amazon KDP. So, for the images, we're going to be using an AI tool called Midjourney. For the manuscript, for the book itself, I'm going to be using Adobe InDesign. But if you don't have the Adobe package, you can use Canva. Or if you want more options, including loads of amazing templates, you can also use BookBolt. If you want to give BookBolt a go, there's a 3-day free trial. And if you click the link in the description, you can get 20% off using code SELFPUBLISHINGEMPIRE. Now for the cover, we're going to be using Adobe Photoshop, but again, you could either use Canva or BookBolt for this. And then for uploading and self-publishing our colouring book, we're going to be using Amazon KDP. In this video, I'm selecting a random category for us to make a colouring book out of. And this video is going to be around creating an owl colouring book for adults. I've seen these on Amazon and they seem to sell quite well, so we're going to have a go at creating one and you can follow along with me. Now, if you're wondering how many AI colouring books I've sold, let's take a look at my Amazon KDP report. I published my very first AI colouring book in November of 2022. Since that time, I have sold over 1,200 colouring books. That's from 37 colouring books that I've made in total. And hopefully that shows you a little bit of the power of AI and self-publishing on Amazon KDP. Now, if we take a look at my colouring book orders this year, you can see growth across the year. And in June was when I started utilising ads effectively on my colouring books. And I also started creating more and better colouring books as well. So what I'm hoping that this shows is, yes, Amazon is quite saturated with colouring books, but there's still huge opportunity out there for publishers to create books that sell. And one of the best ways that we can set ourselves up for success is by doing a little bit of competition research before we start our colouring book. So knowing that we're going to create an owl colouring book for adults, if we go into Amazon and type that in the search bar, we can see the competition. So on here, we're looking at the top searches for this. What we want to be doing is looking at the covers, looking at the colouring pages, and looking at the reviews. Because what we need to do is create something that's better, or at least different to what is already there and what's already ranking and selling on Amazon. So if we click on the first book here that's not sponsored, we can see that this book has 54 pages. So it's only got 25 original designs in. Now straight away I'm thinking we could easily create more than 25 designs. But if we take a look at the book, we've got some examples on the back cover and some reviews at the bottom. Now what would be helpful for us in the reviews is seeing what people like and also what people didn't like about this book. That way we can utilise that feedback when we're creating our colouring book. So in this one, it looks like it's got quotes in it because someone's put, "I love the quotes," and the detailed drawings. Again, the pictures and quotes are great. So one reason why this colouring book might be doing quite well is, yes, it only has 25 colouring pages, but it also has some inspirational messages as well. So that's one thing you could consider when you're making your colouring book. But if we go back to the results, so this one has 697 ratings and it was published in 2019. So this is a great one to look at. This has 50 colouring pages in it, which is a lot more like it in terms of the length you'd want to aim for. And the designs in here are quite almost childlike but detailed. And again, if we look down here in the reviews, one of the low star ratings is childish. So they are cute and more likely suited to young adult rather than adult. So straight away there, I think we've got an opportunity to create some designs which are a bit more adult. And then going on to the next one, I believe this one's made by another YouTuber. So if you're watching this, apologies for looking at your book. I'll only be complimentary. But again, if we look down here, it's got 20 designs. So one way we could differentiate ourselves in the owl colouring book is by creating books with more pages. This one is 8.5 by 11 inches, which tends to be kind of standard for adult colouring books. And if we just have a quick look down at the reviews, Everything seems to be positive, which is great. And here they say, nice full body pictures of more realistic owls. So the last one we looked at was a bit too childish. This one has nice realistic owls, which is probably what we're going to try and do as well. So that's our little bit of competition research done. If you were creating a colouring book, I'd suggest taking a little bit more time and looking through a lot of the reviews, because it's really useful to look through reviews of people who've actually bought these books and see what they're looking for, see what they're enjoying, see what they're disliking. Because at the end of the day, if we're spending money on ads to sell our book, we want people to enjoy them, leave a 5-star review, and recommend them to their friends. But if we go back to the results, I think there's an opportunity here to create a book that's over 50 designs, more realistic owls, and maybe I even include that in the title, realistic owl colouring book. So without further ado, let's get going. Now, this video is all about using AI to create colouring books. Now, obviously, there are other ways to make colouring pages. You can use sites like FABRICA to download ones that people have already made. You can use gig sites like Fiverr to get illustrators to make them for you. But in this video, we're going to look at using Midjourney to create the colouring pages. Now, Midjourney is a text-to-image AI tool. There are other ones out there, but Midjourney is definitely my favourite of the ones that I've tested. The one drawback though of Midjourney is you have to pay for a subscription. I believe you get something like 50 prompts for free, so you can try it out and see how you get on with it, see what you can create. But in terms of actually creating these colouring books and selling them, you need to pay for a subscription. If we come down to the subscription options on Midjourney, you have 3 tiers. You have a basic plan, standard plan, and a pro plan, going up from $10 per month. The basic plan is great, but it limits you to 200 prompts a month. I'm on the standard plan at $30 a month because I get unlimited prompts. But if you wanted to take it a step further, you can also go onto the pro plan. That gives you more fast generations. And one huge thing on the pro plan is that it has this thing called stealth image generation. That means that other people can't see the images you're generating, so they can't download them and rip them and use them for themselves. That's potentially one downfall on the standard plan. Someone could go onto Midjourney, search for colouring pages, and maybe utilise your image. But if they're doing this at their own risk. They don't own the copyright to that image, so they are breaking Amazon's terms of service. So personally, I'm not worrying about it too much, and I'm staying with the standard plan for now. Once you've signed up to Midjourney, this is what it looks like. It's actually a Discord server where you talk to a Midjourney bot. And then what you do is you actually use prompts to talk to it to get it to generate your images. So to get started, you do a / and then you've got these options here. Now, the main option you'll need is Imagine. That is where you enter your prompts for your colouring pages. So we're going to get going with a colouring page prompt for an owl. We'll try quite a basic one, but it might take a little bit of tinkering to get the prompts correct. But the prompt we're going to get started with is a colouring page for adults of a full-bodied owl. And as we're making an 8.5 by 11 inch book, we're also going to change the aspect ratio as well. Because if you don't do that, the images will come out square. So to change the aspect ratio on Midjourney, all you need to do is do a --AR at the end of the prompt and then include the ratio with a colon in between. So as we're doing an 8.5 by 11 inch book, I've done an AR of 8 by 11. Now, if you've never used Midjourney before, this is what it looks like. For every prompt that you do, Midjourney will give you 4 options. When these come back to you, you've got 3 options. You can either upscale the images by clicking these buttons. You can do variations of the images by clicking these. Or if you don't like them at all, you can click refresh. Now, here are some more options as I've clicked refresh. And you can see the different styles here because this second one is more of a cartoony one. For this book, I'm not going for that kind of cartoony style, but that's quite a nice image in itself. But we're going to keep going and try to make more realistic owl pages. And there we have our first colouring page. So now we've upscaled an image, we have additional options available. We can either zoom out of the image by clicking these buttons here, we can make the image a square, or we can move the focus of the image. But what we're going to do here is go to the vary commands. You can vary subtle, which will do subtle variations to this image, which is quite useful. But one of the best things with Midjourney version 5.2 is that you can vary by region. Okay, so here we have our hero image, but we're going to select a few regions to fix. So I don't like those round bits there. And this bit up here, where there's a line where it doesn't connect to anything, we'll try and fix that. And then we're going to click submit. Let's just have a quick look at the importance of the vary by region. So if we put the original upscale next to the one that we varied, you can see the one on the left is much better. All we changed were the round circles on the bottom of the tail. We removed this gap on the tail as well. And then we fixed this line in the forehead that wasn't connecting to anywhere. That's now been removed. So I'm happy with this colouring page, so I'm going to download it. Now you'd need to repeat that over and over again until you had all of your images. Seeing as when I was doing the competition research, 50 images was the most, I think I'll make a book with 51 images. So that may take quite a lot of time to do all these prompts and create all those colouring pages. So I'm going to skip ahead to the next part. Okay, so we've got our first few colouring pages. If we have a little look through, this is what they look like so far. So once you've made all 51 of those images, it's now time to put them into a manuscript. The first thing you need to decide with your manuscript is whether you're going to do edge-to-edge printing. Now, if you want your colouring pages to be proper edge-to-edge, then you need to look at the bleed settings. Luckily, I did a video on that recently. That link should be up in the corner now. For this colouring book, I'm going to go with a no bleed setting. So that means the manuscript page is exactly 8.5 by 11 inches. A small tip for colouring books, especially for adults, is that I found people prefer to have the pages as single-sided. So if I'm going to do 51 single-sided colouring pages, that's actually going to be 102 pages in my manuscript. Now with printing costs, you get up to 120 pages without incurring additional fees. So keep that in mind when you're creating your colouring pages. But for now, we're going to create a new document, which is 8.5 by 11 inches. We're going to have 51 designs, so that's 102 pages. And then you can get all of the margin settings from Amazon. So this is all set up correctly, so we're going to click enter. So we've got our blank manuscript set up. Now we have to insert the images. However, there's one step we're missing. And if we insert these images into this book right now, they're going to be low quality and they're going to be blurry. That's going to make for a poor colouring experience for the consumers. So what we need to do is upscale these images further. There are some free tools out there that you can utilise for this, but for the ease of use and because it doesn't cost very much, I use bigjpg.com. All you need to do is select your images and they will appear below. We're going to upscale these by 4 times and we're going to do low noise reduction. So if you want to try out BigJPG, it's free to try. But this will just take a few minutes to upscale these images. Going back to the images, you might want to add an additional page at the front where you welcome people to the book. That could be something as simple as adding a section where people can write their name. Okay, so we've got 4 images to start with and we're going to place those in our document. What you need to make sure that you're not doing is going outside of these margins. So if this image was up above the margin, for example, when you upload this to Amazon KDP, you'll get an error message. So we just need to make sure that nothing goes outside of these margins. Once you've filled this manuscript in, you can export it as a PDF, which you'll upload later to Amazon, and then we're ready to create a cover. The first step to creating your cover is to go to kdp.amazon.com/cover-calculator. This is an essential tool for finding out the dimensions of your book cover. Now, all you need to do here is enter information about your book. So we're doing a paperback, there's black and white inside, it will be white paper. The page turn is your standard left to right. We're doing an 8.5 by 11 inch colouring book, and we have 103 pages in total in this manuscript. All you do is click Calculate Dimensions, and then this will tell you the size of your manuscript and the size of each area as well. One thing to do on this page once you've got your dimensions is also just to click Download Template. So I'm going to use Photoshop to create my cover, but you could use Canva or BookVault as well. Now going back to the cover calculator, we know the dimensions of our book. So our book is 17.482 inches by 11.25 inches. Now you need to make sure that you're working at 300 pixels per inch because that's print quality, and the colour mode you also want to be CMYK. Once you've entered that, you can click Create. And this blank space is your front cover, your back cover and your spine. And that's why having the template is really useful, because you can just drag that into your document and that's going to show you each area. So the red sections are the safety area, which is likely to get cut off, but you still need to design those areas. I'll just say to not have any text in the red area at all. Now what you want to do is add your title, add a description if you want that on there, and add some sort of hero image or illustration. Now you can find your images at various places. Creative Fabrica is great for pre-made images, but you can also utilize AI as well to create these for you. So seeing as we're doing a realistic owl colouring book, we're going to enter that sort of prompt here and see what comes up. So I think for this colouring book, I want it on a black background. So I've added that into the prompt. I've put realistic owl colouring book cover, colourful, black background, and our aspect ratio. And here are the results. And I think the most eye-catching one for a full-bodied owl might be the second one. So I'm going to upscale that. And here we have our hero image. However, as you can see here, there's no space for text. So we're going to zoom this out by 1.5% just to give ourselves a little bit of room for the text to go on the top and the bottom. We're going to save our image and upscale it once more. And when that's ready, we're going to drop that into our Photoshop document. And here we have our really, really quick cover. Now, we need to export this as a PDF. Now, personally, I'd say your cover is the most important part of your book. It's what people see when they're scrolling through Amazon, and it's probably the thing that they take most notice of. So, this is a really, really quick cover. It's got a nice hero image and it looks okay, but you'd want to spend a lot more time finessing and making it stand out against the competition. But for today, we're going to export this and we're going to go ahead with uploading it to Amazon KDP. So once you have your manuscript and you have your cover ready, you need to go to kdp.amazon.com. If you've not signed up yet, it doesn't take very long, but once you are signed up, it will take you through to your bookshelf. That's where you'll see all of the books that you've published to Amazon. Today, we're going to click the Create button and we're going to create a brand new one. So when you click Create, you've got a few options. You can either create an ebook, a paperback, a hardcover, or a series page. Now for this, for a colouring book, you'd imagine it needs to be printed off, so we're going to create a paperback. If you want to create a hardback, that's something that you can do, but the printing costs are higher and you need to format your manuscripts and cover a little bit differently. So clicking through on the paperback option, you need to give your book a title. This needs to match what it says on the cover. So here's my book title, Realistic Owl Colouring Book. It matches exactly what it says on the cover. Now for the subtitles, that's where you can sell your book a little bit more and add some more keywords. So here I've got 50 plus illustrations of owls for adults. The series section allows you to make a series for your book. So say if you want to do a series of owl colouring books, you'd click the Add Series detail here and fill all of that in. But this is a standalone, so we're going to keep scrolling down. The edition number you can leave blank. You only need to fill that in if you're coming and editing an existing book. And then the author is where you need to enter your information. So to set this up, you'll need to go to author.amazon.com. This is your author central page, and this is where you can enter all of the information about what you want your author page to be called, and you'll need to enter that exactly into that box. Here's one of my author pages, for example, Dino Dean. So we're going to enter that here. Now, obviously, this isn't a dinosaur book, so it wouldn't be Dino Dean, but this is just an example. Contributors is there if you've contributed with someone over making the book, so you can leave that blank. Then you need to fill in the description. So for the description, I would recommend having some sort of hook at the top that's bolded. That will help people clearly see what they're getting, and the keywords will also help with the SEO. And then you need to fill out the rest of the description as well. Publishing rights, even with utilizing Midjourney, you still own the copyrights and you still have the publishing rights as well. So when you're creating AI content for your books, it depends which AI tool you are using. The rights with Midjourney are, as long as you're paying for a subscription, you, along with Midjourney, own the rights to that content. So you can click I own the rights. Primary audience, this section is only if you have sexually explicit images or content in there. And then the reading age is for children's books only. Primary marketplace, we're going to do Amazon.com because we spelt colouring the US way, and we're going to choose our categories. You can select up to 3 categories for your book. I'd select going through and making sure you use all 3, but also make sure that they are relevant for your book. So for our categories, we have colouring books for grown-ups, animals, colouring books for grown-ups, general, and then we've also selected an art therapy and relaxation category as well. Below the categories, you have 2 check boxes. Low content book is what you tick for journals and planners, and large print is what you would generally tick for books with fonts over 16 points. Now, some people do tick these as well for your larger colouring books like this one. So that's completely up to you, but we're going to leave that blank for now. For your keywords, you want to do a bit of keyword research, but make sure that you fill all 7 in because they're going to be really useful for ranking your book and also for Amazon ads as well. So I filled these 7 in as an example, and then we're going to click Save and Continue. One of the benefits of self-publishing on Amazon KDP is you can get a free ISBN. What that means though is that you are limited to publishing this book on Amazon. If you have your own ISBN and you want to publish this elsewhere, you would need to click Use My Own ISBN and enter that information there. But for this one, we're going to sell it on Amazon only, so we're going to click Assign ISBN. You can skip over the publication date because you're publishing it for the first time, and then we come on to the print options. And as it's a colouring book, you're going to want it to have white paper. Coming on to the trim size, this is where you select the size of your book. Ours is an 8.5 by 11 inch book. The bleed settings for our book is no bleed, but if you've done edge to edge printing, this is where you need to click the bleed setting. And then you have an option of either a matte or a glossy finish, which is completely up to you. For this one, we're going to go glossy because I think colouring books are quite nice with a glossy finish. Down below is then where you upload your paperback manuscript and upload your book cover. Once you've uploaded your cover and your manuscript, you come down to this section called AI generated content. Here it asks you if you've used AI in your book. It says, did you use AI tools in creating text, images and/or translations in your book? So yes, we used Midjourney. So we will need to click yes. Then you have 3 sections to select where you used AI. Now, we didn't use ChatGPT, for example, for the text, so we can click none. With the images, we used Midjourney. So you have 4 options. 1 or a few AI generated images, or many AI generated images. So all of our book is AI generated, so we will have to select the many AI generated images option. Then there's 2 categories, with minimal or no editing, or with extensive editing. Now for this colouring book, we pretty much took the images and added them to the book. So that would be many AI generated images with minimal or no editing. Once you've clicked that, it asks which tools you used. So the only tool that I used for this book was Midjourney, and so I've entered it there. Translations, we've not had any, so we can click none. Now that's an AI section that Amazon has added to Amazon KDP. And my suggestion would be just to tell the truth. So for example, if you created an AI colouring book and said, no, it's not AI generated, but you got some reviews where people give it a 1 star and say this is clearly AI generated, you could potentially be at risk of getting your account banned. That's what I think potentially could happen in the future, and I would really recommend trying to avoid that. My suggestion is just to enter your information honestly in the AI section. Before you move on to the final section, which is pricing, you need to click Launch Previewer to check your book. And this is what our book looks like. On the left side, you'll see the errors of the book that you need to fix before you can publish. That might be something outside of the margins, or in my case, it's because there's a lot of blank pages, which I need to fix before publishing. But here we can see our cover, and we can go through and see what our book looks like. Okay, so that's a good start to our owl colouring book. I'll need to finish that off before publishing. Now, going on to the final section, this is where you set your pricing. The territory section you should just leave as all territories, unless you only have the rights to certain territories. And then your primary marketplace will be pulled through from the previous page. So we set it as Amazon.com, which means that appears at the top. So this is where you set your price. You probably want to look at the competition and see what they're pricing at to see whether you maybe want to price at the same level as those, or maybe you want to undercut them. For this one, we're going to price it at $7.99. So you can see here the printing cost is $2.84, which means from a $7.99 book, we get $1.95. Now that's how much you will make from every sale of your book in that marketplace. You need to go through all the marketplaces, price them, and then click Publish Your Paperback Book at the bottom. And that's it. That is the final step to creating and publishing your AI-generated colouring book. Leave a comment below with how you're getting on. I hope this video was useful. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.